How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It was good. I think it was David that recommended that you come on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his episode.
Yeah, David's one of those people that I've known for seems like 20 years, but I've only ever sort of hung out with him once or twice.
Yeah, I don't think I've hung out with him at all.
Yeah.
But I've recorded him. Yeah, fair few times.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a few things. He had a band called Circus 8 that I did some stuff. I did like a live
Mm.
session for them, or like a live in the studio
Yes, I think I remember seeing that.
thing. Yeah, I think that did. It came out looking well, looking good, and sounded good.
Good. What more could you ask for?
Yeah.
So, what is it you do?
Well, I'm a recording engineer, mixer, producer some of the time, although I haven't produced anything for a while.
Okay.
But yeah, generally just music. Like I point microphones at things and
Yeah.
turn knobs on a good day.
Okay.
And on an ordinary day, I'm just me and the mouse and some speakers and just like everyone else, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how did you get into music?
My dad, well, like music in general, my dad plays guitar. He actually makes me seem like I've got quite a casual interest in guitars.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty heavy on his collections. Ridiculous.
Okay.
But yeah, so he, as a kid, I was always like, he was always playing guitar, and like I guess much like everyone's kids, you grab something, you strum it, and you
Yeah. Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
and then like messed around with things, and then probably when I was like 14, I think it was like my last ever music lesson.
Mm.
A girl I knew showed me how to play "Come as You Are" by Nirvana on a guitar, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is like, and that was it. That was just, I just played guitar. Obviously, there were guitars at home, so I just went straight home, picked up a guitar, and I was like, all right, I can play this now,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
I'm gonna. What was that like for your dad to see you come home and start playing? Do you remember what his reaction was?
I think there had been. I think probably like a lot of children, I had wanted to play guitar, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to learn how to
Yeah.
play the guitar. Don't know if that's like a familiar
Yeah. It's quite common.
thing. So like obviously my dad's like really enthusiastic about guitar, and at various points, like I remember I'd had an electric guitar when I was like 7 or 8 or
Mm.
something, because I was like, oh, I want to play guitar. So he was like, okay, cool. We went to a shop, we bought a guitar, and then
Mm.
like I didn't want to learn how to play the guitar, and also I was 7 or 8 or
Yeah.
something, so you can't really do that on your own. And he was like, just kind of left me to it, or
Okay.
maybe I was giving a vibe that I just wasn't gonna,
Right.
we weren't gonna play together.
Okay.
And so I think he was like, oh, let's see how it goes. And then, so I think he was like, obviously interested that I was actually playing
Mm.
something, and it was like maybe starting to sound like music quite
Yeah.
quickly.
Okay.
And then like, yeah, just as soon as he saw that it was like that it was actually happening and it wasn't just like messing about making
Mm.
noise,
Yeah.
he was like, oh, cool, let's get you a proper guitar. Like,
Yeah.
and so yeah, like I had a classical guitar for a while, and then like 6 months, it was like, okay, you probably need an electric guitar, and like,
Yeah.
so
And
yeah,
now you need a dreadnought. Now you need a slide. Now
yeah,
you need a dobro. I keep telling my wife the exact same thing.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a revelation that I came to quite late on, was that not owning something
Mm.
isn't always a good reason to buy something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't have one of those, so
Yeah.
maybe I should get one. Like,
Yeah.
that's like not objectively, that's not healthy, because
Mm.
there's like an ever expanding list of things that
Yeah.
you don't have.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I had to buy a new guitar rack, and just because I'd filled up the one I've got here,
An
I
additional one.
put a few on the wall. So I got another one just for like acoustic. I had to buy a banjo for a show, and I put everything on there. And I was like, oh, there's a space available. That means I can put one more in.
I think that's what it's telling you. If you've got a space,
I've got to go get something. What do
yeah,
I want?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to combat that.
No, I don't.
Not
It's not really something I'm looking to combat or cure or get rid of.
yeah.
It's quite nice.
Yeah.
So, and how did you like make the transition into sort of producing and recording?
I think I worked out how to like plug my guitar into my computer
Mm.
when I was at school. And so I'd just like record myself playing guitar, play something, play over it, or, little covers of some, like just playing guitar parts and another one on top or whatever. And after a while of doing that, it just came to like, going to university and what, everyone was going and what was I going to do. And I just thought, actually, music, it felt hilariously, it felt like recording music might be a more predictable
Mm.
path than like trying to be a guitar player or,
Yeah.
like, so it's like, yeah, I'll do that. And I went and did like a music tech degree. And that what's also kind of funny is that they were very realistic on the course, that like they were very open about, you're probably not going to get a job in a recording studio because there aren't any.
Yeah.
So I just believed them. So
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, cool. So I just spent 3 years like not really trying to record bands or, like a lot of people I speak to or I meet are like, oh yeah, I was in the university studio like all day, every day recording bands. Like I just wasn't doing that because I just was doing other kind of music related or sound related things
Right.
for a while. And then I got to the end of university, and my girlfriend's flatmate, her brother worked at a studio, and
Mm.
he was like, oh, I can just get you some work experience at the studio if you want.
I thought there weren't any studios.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, all right. I mean, I haven't really been preparing for this, but yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Wow.
so I just turned up at a studio that was, funnily enough, a guy that I still work with now. This is his building that I'm in,
Yeah.
his facility. He was engineering for a producer called Hugh Padgham, who did like Phil Collins and The Police and like big, huge 80s records, and McFly. He was working on a McFly record when I met them.
Mm.
And yeah, so I just kind of went to the studio. I was like, oh, right. Okay. I didn't really understand anything about, I'd never seen any of the like real professional
Yeah.
equipment that was there.
So you
But
were
they
well
would,
prepared after 3 years and a degree.
yeah, that's the thing. I was like, but I think because a lot of people like you get work experience people in the studio or whatever, and they're like, I'm a producer, I'm an engineer, like, and they essentially just ruin their
Yeah.
chances by being too much and like being overconfident. Whereas because I knew that I didn't know anything, so like I never tried to tell anyone anything, or I just kept my mouth shut, kept out of the way, and just literally did just work out how everything worked over a period of months and years, and here we are.
Yeah. Did you feel like, I mean, just listening to that now, like, do you feel like it's kind of hard done by that you had to pay for a degree for a music engineering course, but didn't quite prepare you for going into an actual studio?
It was the course itself. I think what appealed to me at the beginning, because I've got like quite a diverse range of interests. So what appealed to me was that it was quite a broad course. It wasn't like 3 years of this is how you record a band.
Right.
That was only like a little bit of it, and then
I see. Okay.
other elements were like acoustics or studio design or
Okay. All right.
synths and electronics. Like there were a lot of different
I
kind of
see.
sections
All
to
right.
it.
Okay.
So it was, I wasn't kind of going in thinking that I was gonna
Right.
that was all I was gonna do.
Right. I see. All right. Okay. And what was the course you did?
It was creative music and sound technology
Yeah.
at Leeds Met, which I think is Leeds Beckett's now or whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was, like I said, I liked a range of, I mean, I feel like I'm quite interested in things, like I like to know about stuff. So
Yeah.
it was nice, like just turning up somewhere and being like, hey, here's something you didn't know about. And
Cool.
yeah, okay, great. And then because it was quite broad and not super deep, like next week is something else.
Yeah.
So
that actually sounds ideal.
yeah,
I
so
quite
it
like
was
the sound
great.
of
It
that.
was great. Yeah, it was good.
So how would you classify yourself as a musician or recording engineer or both?
I very, very, very late on realized that I was not a musician.
Okay.
Like I can play guitar and like the way I always describe it is like a taxi driver versus a racing driver.
Sure.
Like they both drive and they both go places, but one of them is like working at a completely different level of focus and skill. And
Yeah.
I'm the taxi driver. Like,
Okay.
Like I know I can play lots, I can play a lot of things, but I don't really have anything in here.
Okay,
Like
I see.
I don't I don't write songs, and I don't. This is actually something that stresses me out listening to your podcast, because I'm like, all of these people know stuff. Like they know stuff. And I identify as a guitarist, but I don't, like, I know how to do what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And if I hear something, I can play it
yeah.
normally. And like the level that I can play at is like guitar that gets played on songs.
Mhm.
Like if it's not like a shred record or something, like I can play most stuff, but
Yeah,
I couldn't come up with that stuff on my own.
okay.
If you know what I mean. Like I definitely, like, I'm not good at, I think by not knowing things, like I'm not great at improvising. Like I need a minute to be like, oh, okay, it goes here.
Yeah.
And then this is, I can play in this area, and then it needs a part like this. And if I end up playing on records or whatever, it's normally I'm thinking about the song and like what's missing and like
Mm.
what would work for that. I'm not usually distracted by like, oh, these are these are my cool licks that I
Right,
normally,
yeah.
have, because I don't really have those.
I mean, I think that's interesting because I think guitar players are solely focused on the latter of what you just said. Like this is it's this progression. This is in A flat Lydian. Great. I'm going to pull out but then you start to detract from actually what is going on in the song, what's happening vocally, what's happening with the drums, what's happening with the bass, where do you fit in, where's your spot, where do you need to tuck into,
Yeah.
rather than just blazing over the top of everything and go, there you go, done, I'm off now. Uh,
Yeah.
like there's so few like lessons on YouTube or clips on Instagram about getting guitar players to do that. But there's a thousand about this.
Yeah.
Check out this 3-note per string thing in G flat Dorian. And it's like, okay, but that's all great. But like, it's very rare that you actually get to use that in any context. Whereas
Yeah.
what I think is more valuable is here's a chord progression. It's G, D, and C. There's already a piano. There's already an acoustic guitar. There's a vocalist. What are you going to put over the top of that? It's like rabbit in headlights.
Yeah. You just, it's like, because a lot of the time, if I'm working with musicians in the studio and they play, if you get a session musician in,
Mm,
some people are like, oh, some people that producers that I've engineered for
yeah.
will be like, here's to the musician, here's all the stuff that I definitely want you to play, and you're just going to play it,
Mm,
basically.
yeah.
And then other people, which is the approach that I like, is you play something first, like play what you think,
Yeah.
and then we'll just go from there. Like you might play something that's like completely different to what I
Mm,
was anticipating, or like you play your instrument all day, every day. So why do you want,
yeah.
why do I want to tell you how to play it without
Yeah.
knowing what your idea is?
Yeah.
But often it's someone plays something and it's like, oh, but you're playing the same. We've already got all that.
Yeah,
Like that's on
exactly.
other instruments and
Yeah.
in the same places. Like, or sometimes they'll play something. I'll be like, because I don't know anything about music theory, but I'm
Mm.
like, that note, like that, whatever that note is in the chord, like da da,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like that. That's like my favorite bit of that whole.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wave my hands around because I always see things like quite visually. Like I'm like, oh, that note is there, and
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm like, that note is that's my favorite note in that chord. Like,
Yeah.
what's the next chords? Like, can we get that chord's version of that note?
Mm.
And that has drawn some blank looks, but it's like I'm like, that's the bit that's missing, that line that goes through there, like
Yeah.
that's great, can we get that?
But yeah, I think that's I think that's the difference between a guitar player and a musician.
Yeah.
You can get a guitar player into to play whatever you want, but when you say to them, "Look, like I just said, like everything's laid down already. We've already got the drums, the rhythm section, the piano, the acoustic guitar. We've double checked the acoustic guitar, so you don't need to do any of that.
Yeah.
Like can you come up with something that's interesting that
Yeah.
isn't there, that fits within the song, that sounds like it should have always been there?"
Yeah.
That's kind of the difficult thing for people to learn. And I think that just comes from listening to too many records
Yeah.
and listening to so much music that you go, do you know what? When I listened to that Marvin Gaye tune, that Steve Cropper, all he did was just sit on the 2. That was
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
but he just grooved it and it was great.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
But that's because there was like on YouTube, like maybe a couple of years ago, like Lee Anderton was
Mm,
from Anderton's was like having some guitar lessons, and he was like, and there was a moment that I related to really heavily when he was like, he was so stressed about like he he like didn't know this theory behind this thing, and he's just like, Pete, like this other guy plays this thing, he just plays these three notes, and like they're amazing, and it's
mm,
like, yeah, playing the three notes is really easy. Like,
yeah,
it's just three notes, and you're sitting there, you're so frustrated. You listen to that player, and you're like, oh my God, like that sounded so amazing. That was so easy. And then you go, I don't, because you don't know how to put into context, in your new context of your new
yeah,
song, you don't know what that song's version of those three notes are without knowing like a whole
yeah,
load of stuff behind you, like to know, yeah, that chord and that, this scale or whatever. It's
mm,
like, it's just knowing the bit that's missing or like the best. And
yeah.
that's always what I find frustrating when you've got a musician and it's like they play 1,000 notes and it's like
None of them are right.
four. Yeah. And it's like you own
Nope.
it's like all you needed to play was four amazing ones.
Yeah,
And there's only 12 at any
yeah,
given, there's only 12 at any given moment. So like you just got to pick the right one four times,
yeah.
and we're golden. Yeah,
It's like it's. I think it's just it's a craft. I think if you're going to if you want to do this as a job, particularly if you want to do it as a studio musician, then like you just need to be listening,
yeah,
like actively listening. Like what are they doing over this bit? That's cool. I like that. But because 9 times out of 10, it's really fucking easy. Like you said, it's just
yeah,
a couple of notes. It's just maybe a repeated pattern. Like I remember I did something in a studio. It was just C, D, and E minor, but I fucked up the voicing of the chords, and I was playing suspended chords, which is, if you don't know, I'm not playing the major or minor third. I'm
yeah,
playing the two across everything, and it was a
yeah,
fuck up. But the engineer went, "That sounds fucking great." I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, God, I fucked that up. I'm actually playing." He said, "We're going to go with that. We'll just re-record it because you were a little wobbly on time." Uh, but that was great.
yeah,
And it was like these things get born out of mistakes, or they get born out of because you're trying something a little odd, or
yeah.
I don't
And I
know.
think you did that by accident, but I think the idea is to like give people that you're working for ideas
Mm,
so that they don't, so that they go like, okay, yeah, yes or no. And if, unfortunately, in the session role, often it is like, no, that's not, we don't like that idea. Like, give me another one. Like,
yeah,
you need a brand new idea, like
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
And
Don't get
then
married to it.
now throw that away. We need a brand new,
Yeah,
like, but like, yeah, if sometimes it's quite disappointing if someone comes in and they just kind of do what you kind of already had in
yeah,
mind, unless you're like, some producers or musicians that I work with are incredible and they're like, no, I've got the whole thing
yeah,
mapped out and you just need to do exactly what I tell you, and
yeah,
I'm going to be really happy with it.
yeah,
But other times it's like, oh yeah, they didn't really give me, more than I really. They then at no point did I get more
mm,
than I'd already thought of, and then you kind of maybe leave that going. Maybe there was some kind of stuff left on the table that we didn't,
yeah.
that was underexplored.
Do you think that that's also part of your job to try and draw things out of people?
I think if you're producing, then yeah, you need to producing and mixing. Everyone's trying to get. No, I suppose it's in all the roles. Yeah, you're trying to get everything that is there. You're trying to squeeze it all out. Like even if it's just pointing a microphone and turning some knobs, like you want to get the best version of what is happening or what's coming out the speakers. If someone's performing, you want to make sure that they're doing all the good stuff that you like, and you're making sure you've covered everything, and that if they need to be emotive, that they're able to do that and they're not restrained. And then yeah, mixing, you've got all these amazing recordings. You need to make sure that at the right moments it's big and at the right moments it's
Mm,
small, and that you don't kind of just plow through the whole thing, or just you don't want it to be underwhelming.
yeah,
People have put a lot of effort in before it got to you, and if it
yeah,
sounds flat and boring, then yeah, I guess you do want to be making it as big and bold as you can. whether that's big and bold literally or whether it's like big and bold in terms of like whatever their expectations were. It's just bigger than it meets their expectations and more, I would say.
How do you deal with people with red light syndrome?
It's really hard. It's really hard. Um, I'm really good at the technical side, and I'm like, without blowing my own trumpet, like I'm amazing at Pro Tools. Like if I've turned shit to gold
Right.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Like
Okay.
you played this like out of tune and out of time, and you didn't meet the bar that you would like it to be at, and I kind of make up that difference. So I'm not usually it's not the ideal way to do it, and it's not a time efficient way of doing it, but if someone's feeling nervous about recording, then I'm more comfortable in like trying to relax that, because I'm not like, no, mate, you got to get this. You know, this
Yeah.
has got to be.
We got
If
to
you
do it
don't
by
do,
2 and
yeah, if you don't do this perfectly, like we're in real trouble. Like I'm happy to like try and make it a relaxing environment, and
yeah.
also generally, like I always think if people are comfortable, they perform well, and then so it sounds good, so I look good. You know, like I don't, if it's a drummer, I'm not like, oh, we need to move these cymbals into uncomfortable places because I've got to put a microphone. Try and just, you do whatever you need to do and I'll just work around that.
Yeah.
And generally, I find that people get, the red light fever is less of a thing because we try to remove as much like, this is a tense moment and you're uncomfortable because you're sitting on this weird stool, or you're, you know, acoustic guitar especially is like, I've got like some mic technique. I've got like a mic technique that I like for acoustic guitar, but generally that's sometimes if you're facing this way, it sounds really different to if you're
Yeah.
facing that way. So I'm like, you sit down, just get really, you know, where do you want to face? Like, just get comfortable, and you don't want to be like, oh no, don't move from there. Don't,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Like
so,
an oil painting.
yeah, exactly. Like it's,
Don't move.
just don't move, don't move. So I try to just make it like not as, just as relaxed as possible, and then generally it's all right. But it is a nightmare. Like if I have to record something myself, sometimes you're like, oh no, I wasn't ready, or like, you know, like, oh, I just can't get it today, or my hands are cold, or
Yeah,
you know,
that's a fucking like cold hands. It's something that even if I do out like festivals outdoors, you go and you start playing, like the strings dry up, your hands get cold. It's like I'm playing at 20% and it's a struggle.
yeah.
How I like yeah.
Do you know what? Here's a question for you. Something that me and my dad as well both get. Like, if someone gives you a guitar that you haven't played before, I can't play it. Like that first few minutes where like someone goes, oh, do you want to go? And I pick it up and I just go, this is like whatever it is, like it's not mine.
Yeah.
And I haven't played it before. And that first 5 minutes like is, oh God, I can't get any notes out of it. And like, I'm just nerves
Do you know
for
what?
some reason.
I was depping on a show October, November last year, and I have to use the guitars for the show. It's an Oasis tribute, and it's and you want specific guitars. Like you have to use these. These are the 2 guitars. Choose whichever, either one. One of them was it's like a 335, like a Sheraton 335.
Yeah.
The other one is a Firebird, and it's bright red, and it looks awful. So I'm not going to use that unless I have to. I'll use the 335. It's fine. And it just feels weird. First of all, it's set up with 10s, and I used to play with 9s, so it's a little. It's like I've got to shake my hand into that a little bit. But yeah, the action's a little different, and it just feels a little different. And like I said, it took a couple of songs to kind of
it's that unfamiliarity
loosen into it. Yeah,
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Again, I mean that's probably like a skill. That's something that we should, I think, work on. Like here's another guitar, play a song on that. Here's another one, play it on that. I should maybe do that with my students.
Yeah, maybe guitar shops could run like, you know, supportive classes where like, you know, you just, it's like speed dating or something. It's like every 30 seconds, every minute, it's like swap to a new guitar. And then we could all conquer it, maybe.
Somebody once said to me, if you can do it on a Telecaster, you can do it on anything, because that's just like the basic.
It's a guitar,
down to
isn't
nothing.
It? It's a guitar.
Yeah,
it is a guitar. Telecaster.
If you do it on a telly, you can do it on anything. So yeah, if there's a new show that I'm coming, I actually and I put it all on the telly first. Like, can I play it on this?
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's cool. The other thing I'd love to know, because I've started to get into doing more recording at home since I had this studio built. And I've never taken any lessons or guidance or anything on recording other than me sending it to somebody and saying, "What do you think of this?" And he'll come back with a list of stuff. I'm like, "Oh shit, I don't know what any of that means." Like, what what are the basics that I should be working on to get the most out of recording?
Right. If you're recording guitar,
Acoustic, let's say acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and vocals.
yeah.
I do have a kit, but
Okay.
I assume that's going to be more complex.
That could be more complicated. Generally recording, but you're at an advantage with guitar.
Mm.
Be great.
Hmm.
If you play it really well
Yeah.
and it sounds really good and like, you've got a nice tone and you got a nice guitar and everything, like recording is so simple.
Okay.
But if you don't play it well and the problem is with recording is when you're recording yourself, like this is the problem I have. Like the guitar sounds that I get when I'm playing are some of the worst, like
Right.
that come out of my speakers because I always think you got 100% concentration. You've got like some attention for playing it. You've
Hmm.
got some attention for hearing it coming out of the speakers. You've got some attention for like, oh, did I turn that thing up right? Oh, did I put that
Mm.
microphone in the right place? Or oh, the mic stand's falling down, but like, oh man, got to get this thing done. And like
Yeah.
the thing that I would, the thing that I always encourage people to do, and like I've set up a couple of studios for people for musicians, is try and separate the engineering
Hmm.
from the playing. So take a day where you get everything plugged in, like have everything set up permanently if you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
And if you can afford to buy like, a different microphone for for each job, then that means it doesn't have to move and it can always be in the right place. And it just removes thinking about the recording bit as much as you possibly can. If you can do that, if you're not like, I need to put an acoustic guitar on this, and then you go, right, okay, I'll get the mic out of the box, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
now I'll plug the cable in. Oh, the cable's coiled up, and okay, I've got to reach around the back of this thing to plug the thing. If you start doing all of that, that's like you're got like,
Yeah.
what are you going to record at the end of that? You're going to
Yeah.
be no. So if you can separate it permanently, that's great. If you want to experiment on a different day to the day that you want to actually achieve something,
Yeah.
work out all of the like, oh, this would be a cool sound for this, or actually, yeah, I know I can get that. Try not to do that when you need to get something
Right.
recorded for something because you're just diluting your attention, you're diluting how much you can give to a particular task. And if you
Okay.
can explore on a separate day to when you need to record something for a song, you go, oh yeah, just open my template. Maybe you've got a template set up, so you go
Hmm.
acoustic guitar, press record on that track, you go, okay, I'm ready to go. You've got your like, if you're recording at a computer, maybe you've got like a little boom arm or something for an acoustic guitar mic so you can be in front of your
Yeah. Yeah.
computer, like, and just make it as simple as possible. And then if you're like, honestly, if you if you're relaxed about it and if you can play well, you can point a reason, it doesn't have to be an expensive microphone, but you know if you point a reasonable microphone at an acoustic guitar, it's going to sound good.
Yeah.
If you sound good, it's going to sound good. Like, and that's what it blows my mind when you watch that pedal show
Mm.
on YouTube. Like, those guys sound amazing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, you're not engineers, but I mean, they've obviously like they've gone hard on like the technical setup of it. But I'm like, I think you're just good at playing the guitar. Like,
Yeah.
I think you're like, it starts good and then you record it,
Yeah.
like, and it's disappointing because there's no magic to it necessarily. But,
Right.
but I mean, electric guitar, point I might, what I would normally do is if you've got like the dust cap in the middle of the speaker, if you put a microphone, just point straight at it, like don't angle it or anything, just straight at like on the edge of where the dust cap meets the cone and then listen to what that sounds like. And then the rest of it is just EQ on your amp or your pedals or whatever. Like, yeah, you can get different sounds if you move the mics and you can do all kinds of things. If you don't know, like, don't change the bit that you don't know about.
Right.
If you're learning recording, like, I promise you, like an SM57 or whatever, just pointed straight at the speaker, like straight on, perpendicular. That's a great place to start from. And that will document what is happening perfectly well. So you then, if you don't like what it sounds like, you need to change what is happening
Yeah.
rather than how you're recording it. And you might, it might be later on you're mixing it or something, you're like, oh, I had loads of distortion, it's got loads of this like crispy high end, and that's getting in the way of the cymbals or whatever, and you might EQ that or filter some of that down a little bit. But like, in terms of an isolated, does this sound like a good guitar? Simple. And the same with vocals. Like, you put a microphone near your face and sing into it. Don't sing to the side of it. Don't put it like
Yeah.
above or whatever. Like, don't make it complicated and be great, and it'll be great. Like,
do you think a lot of this gets overcomplicated with gear and plugins and tutorials and people like, so when it comes to mixing it, like, what's the basics?
what in terms of getting overcomplicated, like what I've just said is not a very compelling tutorial course. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not great. So I think there's partly you need to have something in terms of online content. You have to have something to tell people that they don't feel like they know already.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So yeah, it can be overcomplicated. The problem also is that actually it's really fun to overcomplicate it.
Right.
Like when once you feel really confident with the simple, like, oh, I've just pointed the microphone, then you're like, maybe I'll EQ it a little bit on the way in on the microphone. Like, I've got a little mic pre with an EQ, then this compressor sounds pretty good. Put it into that. And then you're like, hey, I like the sound of that mic, but it'd be nice to mix it with that other mic. And then it can be overcomplicated, and it's, as an engineer, like, it's lovely to do that. And as a person addicted to buying and owning things, like, it's wonderful to just buy more things and get excited about more toys. And, like, that's great. But, there's a learning curve to it. It's like, if you're in at the deep end and you put a lot of the time I get stuff into, if a band's like, oh yeah, we recorded this ourselves. You get like 5 mics on a guitar amp and none of them work with each other.
Right.
They're just like, that's, they're maybe okay on their own. Maybe they're horrible on their own. And so it's like, it's easy to overcomplicate things and not end up with something good. But if you try not to overcomplicate it, then it's generally it's a better beginner's point. I guess, like playing guitar, if you put a beginner in front of an enormous pedal board, like,
what the fuck?
You stomp, they go, oh, that sounds good, that sounds good, that sounds good, oh, that sounds good. And if you put all the pedals on, like, you got probably a big mess a lot of the time, or there's got to be a certain moment to have all of them on. And the mixing part of it, mixing can be difficult, but again, it's trying not. There's times where, like, an experienced person does need to overcomplicate it. There are moments where you're like, this doesn't quite fit in the way that I need it to, but like, I can use this collection of things where each of them is doing a little job, and you can complicate it, and it can achieve the thing in a very impressive way, and what a hero you are. But a lot of the time, again, if you've started with really good sounds, a lot of the time, and again, mixing something, if you've got a good arrangement, you're not worried. You're not trying to EQ something to get it out of the way of something else, because all of your parts are in different areas, and they all do their own little job that isn't. And there's very little, like, sculpting that you need to do to pull it all together. But yeah, if you've got 5 guitars all playing the same part, essentially, or 5 instruments all doing the same thing, and then you've got 5 people who are like, I can't really hear what my bit's doing. And like,
Yeah,
you need to, and that's now your problem to make that work. Then you're like, oh, okay, well, you've got to start doing some stuff to make it fit together.
you're right. Right. But is there like a couple of basic steps that you think everyone should master? So if somebody came
I
to me and
think
said, like, what should a guitar player be able to do? I was like, well, they should be able to, let's put tuning their instrument aside. Everyone should be able to tune their guitar, but that's not a thing. Like, you should be able to play in time, you should be able to get a good sound, and you should be able to just move between your chords quite comfortably and freely. That's what I would say is the basics for a guitarist. Is there a sound or a mixing or a sound engineering equivalent?
if you, I mean, for an actual engineer, like for a professional engineer or someone that wants to like record stuff as the
Mm,
only thing they're doing, there's loads of stuff. But if you're talking about a musician self-recording and what should they be able to do,
yeah.
I would say you need to be able, you probably want to be able to, you're going to be, your usage case is someone's going to say, can you put some guitar on my song?
Mm,
And you're going to be able to, you're going to need to send them something that is good sounding that they can slot into their song and get, and be happy that they've got you to do it.
right.
So that, I would say, most of the time comes down to a simple distortion free, like, you don't want crackles, you don't want noise, you want to be able to hear that something is noisy and then fix it.
Mm,
Like, stop it being noisy in the room, or use a different microphone, or give up on that position on the Strat because or use a different guitar because the lights in your room have made the Strat unusable in this song or
right.
whatever. You need to be able to recognize those problems and have them not be in your recording, because you don't want someone to have to deal with that when they get it,
Right. Okay.
essentially. And I would say stuff like, if you want to mix something and have it sound good, like, welcome to, welcome to the big world of problems. Like, that's building a whole house.
Right.
And you
Okay.
can build a really basic house, maybe a lot more simply. If you're like, oh, I just want to do like something like a little jazz trio or something for a showcase,
Yeah.
someone's show reel or something. It's like, you've got like a guitar, double bass, and a vocal or something for a little acoustic trio or something. Like, you can probably mix that because they're all in three different ranges. And if you've just got if you've met the criteria of no distortion, or,
Mm,
no unwanted artifacts,
yeah.
and you just kind of go, yeah, you can hear them all and it's all pretty good. But if you're like, yeah, I've got this Rush tribute
Yeah.
band, and like, we want to self-record and I want to do it, then you're just going to have to put in a lot of, you have to put in a lot of work,
Yeah.
and it's going to sound terrible for a long time
Okay.
until, until you work out how to get it all sounding very impressive.
Okay. And I guess there's no shortcut for that. It's just you're going to have to spend hours in front of your desktop
I think
listening.
if there is a shortcut, I think it is, unsurprisingly, you're a teacher, it's tuition. It's like, there are some great online courses where there are, like, they supply you with multi-tracks of recorded material, and they, make suggestions. They're educating as far as like, okay, here's some things you can do to these instruments, and this is what, then you can maybe watch some content of a person mixing that song, so you can
Yeah.
see like exactly what they did and what they were listening for at various moments. And then I think that's probably more of a fast track than just sitting with your own recordings in isolation,
Yeah.
you know, working out where you put your fingers on the guitar, like for a guitar lesson or
Yeah.
whatever. You can sit on your own and go, oh yeah, if I put my finger there, it sounds okay. Like,
Yeah.
but there are materials that give you some shortcuts on a lot of that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think education is okay in that respect. And I think, if I was going to I've been given a public platform here, and I think probably the online content about recording music is, I would say, like the practical maximum of how much money and time and effort you should spend on learning to record music. I don't think that going to university for 3 years or for a year to do it every day
Yeah.
is a cost effective way of like reaching the skill level that you get to at
Mm.
the end of that. I think nowadays I don't think we need people charging tens of thousands of pounds to convey this information to
Yeah.
you, because I think in terms of I think it's poor value
Mm.
in terms of the result that you're ending up with at the end.
Okay.
Whether you've been educated by a person that knew what they were talking about and that you've kind of got the time of someone very talented like that, I'm not going to comment on that. It's entirely possible that you've been taught by some incredible people and you've, you know, that their time has been worth that. But I think in terms of how good you're going to be at the end, I think
Yeah.
there's
Yeah. I
to do
mean,
it.
I think getting time in a studio to actually work and learn how things like mic placement and how you can best EQ different instruments is best done. I don't know, in a studio rather than in college. I don't know, but
Yeah,
I guess all colleges and universities are now set up with studios in them so that they can then
yeah, very much
throw
so.
people into the deep end.
Yeah, I think yeah, as yeah, that's I think that's definitely how it is. But yeah, I think in terms of a shortcut, just get taught by like
Yeah.
see some successful methods, and also like if you're watching some YouTube content, if you like what it sound like, if you like their end result, if you like what if you watch a thing of someone recording some guitar and you go, oh, that sounds pretty good, then that's probably a
Mm.
good you've probably had a good lesson there. If
Yeah.
you get to the end of it and you go, I actually don't like that sound that they got at the end, then that either has not been a skilled person, or you've learned a method that you don't like.
Yeah.
So
And in terms of like you getting better as an engineer, how do you gauge that? Is it like do you listen to other records and go, okay, I love the sound of that. I wonder how they did that.
yeah, I
Is that
think
something that you can listen to a record and you're like, they're using this technique?
I d- I wouldn't necessarily be thinking about a technique. I think it would be more like either like shit, that sounds really good, like
Mm.
that's where I should be now. Like why can't like I don't feel like my records sound like that.
Yeah.
I want to, and really, then you're active listening, and you're like, oh, okay, like these elements sound like this, and you try and internalize, like, oh, they've got loads more clarity on that instrument, or like there's so much more impact to those things, or whatever, and you're trying to take that to your own practice. You're
Mm.
trying to when you're next time you're recording a band like that, or you're mixing a song like that, you're thinking, how did that? Why does mine not sound like that yet?
Yeah.
Which I suppose is, the same as playing an instrument. You hear someone play something, you go, why? Either I don't choose those notes, or I can't play that fast, or I
Mm.
can't articulate as clearly as that, or, they've got some really complicated chords there, and I don't know how to make, how to have as rich a voicing as that.
Yeah.
Like, and so, yeah, there's that part of it where you're hearing things and you're thinking, oh, I need to, that's actually, I feel like I'm not there.
Yeah.
And then there's also listening to something and just going, yeah, I'm just not happy with what I've done, and trying a bit hard.
Yeah.
Before you send it to someone, you go, yeah, maybe it could just be better. And you just have another, or you listen to it in another place and you hear it in another way. And then you go,
Mm.
I'd better get back to it. And, maybe we need another few hours on that before we send it.
Yeah. Do you ever practice mixing?
I
No.
definitely don't practice. I don't practice anything. Like you I talk to some people and they're like, oh, I had a quiet Saturday or whatever, and I just thought I'd try 10 different microphones on a snare drum, or, like, oh, I swapped the pickups on a guitar 10 times and I recorded each one because I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
Don't really, I like the technical aspect of it, but I think it's like you were saying about its context.
Mm.
Like there is merit in listening to 10 different microphones and trying to think like, oh, that one's brighter in, that one's brighter in that area than that, or that one picks up more hi-hat. So actually, if I'm in a session, if there's too much hi-hat in the snare mic, then I should change it to that
Yeah.
other one. Like there's an element of that, but also it's context. It's like, yeah, you could put 10 different microphones on a snare drum, but if the snare drum's different next time and
Mm.
it's rattlier or it's darker or the song actually is very dark and
Mm.
they've used a very bright snare drum and like there is a lot of context around things that I find like practicing
Yeah.
for practice for I mean what I probably should be doing is the same tutorials that everyone else is that I'm talking about beginners doing, where I should be getting multi-tracks
Yeah.
and for practice. But the problem is it's hard. I personally find the kind of family and work divide, I find it difficult to be away from my family,
Mm.
but not be at work. Like
Right.
not be, like to not be. And I think that might be something that's maybe a bit more individually tailored towards recording and music. Like if you're a guitar player, you have to practice, because if you get that gig or you've got a gig and you're like, I'm rusty and I literally can't play the material that I can play,
Yeah.
that is difficult. And I think, yeah, you've got some grounds to be like, I just need to practice because I've got to do the thing. But I personally, in my personal circumstances, I find it like I've got enough work to keep me away from my family for time. And so I'd rather be at home, or I mean there's tech stuff that you need to do, like this piece of equipment stopped working, or I'd love to plug things in a certain way so that I'm like all set for
Yeah.
this other kind of session. That you do a session and you're like, oh, if I had a thing that plugged in the thing in this way, then that would make that kind of work a lot easier.
Yeah.
So there's like kind of, spend some downtime doing that or some quiet moments. But I generally don't work on music that isn't paying the bills.
Right. And how about getting better? Like, are there areas that you think, "Do you know what, I really need to work on this because that's a little
I
weak." I don't know.
always feel like, I think apart from maybe the technical operation of Pro Tools, like I
Yeah.
think I'm fast and accurate. And I've had some people say like, oh wow, you're like, like you're good
You
at
know what
that.
you're doing.
Yeah, you know what you're doing at that. So apart from that, I feel like I would never do educational content. And
Right.
I feel like I don't feel like I know a lot. I don't feel like I've mastered anything to the point where I would feel comfortable saying, okay, guys, this is how this
This
is
is
how
how
you
it's
do
done.
it. So I feel like I'm always trying to, like, whether it's imposter syndrome or not, like I always feel like I'm trying my hardest
Mm.
to just get it to be a little bit better and a little bit, like I'm not phoning it in at any point. I'm like always trying to get a level of, I'm always trying to kind of close the gap between what I would like my work to sound like
Yeah.
and what I think it sounds like, whether that is objectively, whether there is objectively a gap or not.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you mentioned imposter syndrome, I think those people generally are the best people to work with because they generally care more. Like, because like you said, like I'm not phoning it in. I want to try and make this as good as I possibly can, which just shows a level of care and attention that I think is lacking in some people that just turn up, be like, oh, it's just a thing for the phone. Oh, fuck it. Yeah, I'll run that through. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go now.
Yeah.
Well, that was really uninspiring.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I've worked with some, I mean, I think the thing is, you don't necessarily know how people feel in themselves.
Mm.
So like I've worked with people who are like engineers that are like unbelievably precise, and the results that they're getting, you'll watch, when I was, earlier in my career, you're watching them going like, wow, this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But they might think like, oh, fucking hell. You're assuming that they're presenting an expert, and
Yeah.
they are presenting the results of an expert, but they might inside be like,
panicking for shit.
yeah, like, I hope this sounds good. I hope they like this. I
I
hope
have
this
no
is.
idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to turn this one.
Yeah, like, oh God, I always do this. Like, I wonder if this is any good. Like,
Yeah.
I do, I hope they don't ask me to do it a different way. Or, like,
Yeah.
you
God, I
don't,
hope this works.
yeah, you don't know. But
Yeah. Are you comfortable recording anything and anyone, like from a garage rock band to a symphony orchestra?
yeah, right. Okay. So I was with you on Garage Rock Band,
Yeah.
and then
I lost you.
yeah, and then you said symphony orchestra, and like the only reason I've recorded like string quartet or like a small jazz big band or
Yeah.
something, like it's a money risk that I'm not prepared to take on my shoulders.
Right. Okay.
Like I've not because I haven't worked in. You need a really big room to record a big orchestra, and I've never worked in any studios that are large enough to have an orchestra.
Okay.
Therefore, I've never recorded an orchestra.
Right.
Therefore, if you said, Al, I am going to book a studio and tens of thousands of pounds worth of orchestral musicians,
Yeah.
will you come and record it for me? I would be like, that risk
Yeah. No.
feels, I would say, get someone that does that all the time.
Yeah.
And also it's the time constraints of like, it needs to sound very good immediately because of those tens of
Yeah.
thousands of people's time rapidly ticking away.
Yeah.
So in theory, gun to my head, I would, I could do it. And if the engineer fell down dead, I'd be like, okay, fine. I guess we're going to put some microphones here and it's
Yeah.
fine. Like, and I kind of sat in on an orchestral session a few years ago and like, I got the engineer to take me through what he was doing.
Mm.
And I was like, all right, like there's using like 20 microphones, which is like as many as I might put on a drum kit.
Yeah. And you're
They're
recording
just
50 people.
Yeah, but they're just really far apart.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. Like it's not like you're not doing more, and it's not technically like it's not technically harder. It's just that they're all really far apart. It takes some time, so you can't quite as easily go in and tweak a few things, on the first run or whatever. It's like you've got to just know those. You've got to have the set play of like, okay, we put this microphone in this place and we put these microphones in this place in this room and we put these over here and everyone does it. And then I just press go and then it all works. And like, I don't know that shortcut in a particular room or whatever. So, but I mean, yeah, like I just love music. I love all kinds of music. So, and I love working on all of it. So yeah, string quartet or even like a, 12-piece strings or something is fine. Yeah, like some smaller classical kind of stuff, classical vocal session or a, full rock band, doom metal band, jazz quartet or whatever. Like I really like music and I really like kind of doing an appropriate capture of each different style of music. Like you can, with recording, you can do it like a live gig or whatever, where you just go, I just have this set of microphones and I just put them on this thing. And the reason it sounds different is because they are different. It's a different band or whatever. But I kind of more, I feel like I actively listened to a lot of different kinds of music. So if it's like a jazz band, then I want to do like a specific thing with maybe some darker microphones or or maybe it's like a fusion thing, so it's a little bit brighter and like a little bit more, there's more clarity to it than like, so I like to kind of tailor. It's not like I can record anything because I just do it in this really neutral way that works for everything. I just like enjoy working on faithful versions of what I think is faithful versions of each style, really.
And do you think there is, and this will be my last question before I let you go, do you think there is something that is, or anything that's missing from modern day recording that has just kind of been lost to time? Do you think nobody's doing this anymore? That's a shame because this always sounds really great.
I think the way that's a tough one.
Can I give you an example?
Yeah, please.
I listened to Colour and the Shape for the first time in a long time, Foo Fighters' second album. And it just sounds so different to their more recent records, and somebody likened it to me as like they're pushing all the music as close as they can to your face. But then when you listen to the color and the shape, it's like there's this space and this depth. It's like, why doesn't it sound like that? Because that sounds great.
Yeah.
I can't put it into words as to what's going on from an engineering point of view.
The thing, just mentioning the Foo Fighters specifically, I feel like they've to me very overtly communicate with every album.
Mm,
Like this next album, this new album is like bigger and better
mm,
than the one before. Like they have a very, like they're very strategic in like, oh, there's a whole thing about this new record, like whatever it might be,
yeah,
is like it's bigger and better than before.
yeah.
So
So I remember there was one album, they said, "Oh, we recorded this all to tape in my garage." And then when I
yeah,
listened to it, it said, "It doesn't sound like it was recorded in your garage to a tape. It sounds like it was recorded in a fucking multi-million pound studio." And then,
we are living in a
oh,
world where, or the Foo Fighters are living in a world where both of those things are true,
right.
in that they recorded it in their garage with the equivalent equipment
Yeah.
of a multi-million pound studio.
Yeah.
So that that's it basically.
So it sounds like it was recorded in a
It was
multi-million pound
recorded.
studio.
It was recorded to tape, but they were using the very last tape machine that was ever made.
Yeah.
So the history of like tape recording is like it starts quite basic, and then you're trying to refine it
Mm,
with every new version. As time goes by, you want lower noise, lower distortion.
yeah.
You want, better frequency response. You want it to be cleaner, essentially.
Mm,
And so they were recording on the last one that was ever made. So it was the highest quality,
yeah.
essentially the closest to modern digital recording that you can get.
Yeah.
So it's not like they recorded it on a cassette in their
Yeah.
garage. They recorded it on, the finest tape machine that money can buy, that money has ever been able to buy.
Yeah.
And then they had microphones and consoles and all of those things of a level that is like dream
Yeah.
level for anyone.
Yeah.
And then they had Butch Vig producing it, like phenomenal producer and engineer. And then I think there would have been another engineer, I guess, who, if you're working on a Foo Fighters record, you just get someone sensational
Yeah.
who is incredibly talented and capable. And so then when you put all those things together, you do end up with something that sounds kind of like you might have expected it to if they hadn't have done that, because
Mm,
you've kind of you've closed the gap between the
yeah.
garage
Yeah.
and the studio.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I think stresses me out a little bit about recording is thinking you have to do things, thinking that you have to edit something because, people thinking about working on tape. Like a
Mm.
friend of mine was like, "Oh, yeah, think about getting a tape machine because, you're working with bands, like it'd be good to like not do some edits and stuff." And it's like, you could just not do edits. Like you
Yeah.
can just record in Pro Tools and just not do edits. If they say, "Oh, can we like fix that thing and chop it up into,
Yeah.
pieces and move them around?" Like, if you just go, "Should we just play it again?
Yeah.
Should we, instead of like me correcting the timing on that guitar part, like if you just play it again more in time, and I will just delete the version that we've got
Yeah.
already, or we'll keep it as a safety just in case you can't ever do it again. We'll just keep that, and then you can record another one." And
Fix it in pre, I think
yeah,
was
I
Andy
love,
Wood's. Fix
yeah,
it in pre.
I love fixing it in the pre.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's like, oh, we have to edit things because we can. We have to tune things because we can.
Yeah.
We have to tune everything because we're tuning part of the vocal. Like,
Yeah.
you can tune a word, like that's fine. Like you don't need to then go, "Oh, right, well, we're doing this now." Like
Mm.
the way I think of records is you've got what it sounds like and what it needs to sound like. And that can be very close or it can be very far apart. And you can be making a really scrappy, like, emo record from, like the early 90s or whatever. And you can say, we're miles away from where we need to be. But that doesn't mean that it's got to sound like a Dua Lipa single. It just
Yeah.
means that you've got to step up a realistic amount so that it sounds like the kind of record you want it to sound like.
Yeah.
And the same with the Dua Lipa record. Like, you could have some stuff that sounds incredible, but you're like, but actually, if you listen to the records that sound like this, we're just not quite there yet. We need to, we
Yeah.
need to tighten up some sounds. We need to tune some things. We need to, like, there's always where you are and where you need to be, and you just need to close that gap.
Yeah.
But you should not be thinking this is what we do to do this.
Okay.
The production line thing of where you've kind of switched your brain off and you're just like, oh, we need to edit all the drums so then they'll all be in time. And then it's like, maybe you need to edit the drums. Maybe some records you definitely need to edit them all. And like, if you're doing like a super technical metal record, maybe you do need to edit the drums because actually that's like the level of precision that everyone's expecting. But also, if you're doing your like Oasis tribute band, but the drummer is horrific, maybe you still need to edit the drums to that level.
Yeah.
Because that just makes them acceptably listenable.
Yeah.
Like but if you're doing a really good Oasis, if you're doing an actual Oasis record, you probably don't need to edit the drums because they've been performed at the level that that everyone's expecting them to be at.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. That's the only thing I feel like you just got to you just want to make sure that the autopilot's not on.
Yeah.
Really. And to not kind of prescriptively do things because this is the thing that you do if you're doing this.
Yeah. So why does that second Foo Fighters album sound so different to the? What have they done to the latter albums just to make it sound like there's just so much noise coming through?
They've done more.
They're just overdubbing the shit out of everything.
They've done more. I mean, that album was mixed by my good friend Chris Sheldon, and he is an unbelievable engineer, producer.
Is this the latest one or Colour and the Shape?
No, the Colour and the Shape.
Yeah.
So Monkey Wrench and Everlong and the other songs that are on the record. So he mixed that. So it was produced by Gil Norton. And yeah, it was just from speaking to Chris, there's no drum samples on the record. That was like Dave Grohl specifically said, like, I don't want any drum samples on this. So that's not like, that wasn't possible. So then you're not kind of just pushing up the like big sounding snare sample. You're like trying to tailor and shape a thing that is real that has never been heard before. Like it's a singular recording of that instrument. Like it's not the sample that everyone else has got from Stephen Slate or like the drum sample pack. It's that one recording of that one person playing that one song that one time is what every hit is. So you've got that. You've got it was recorded. It's earlier, so it's just. Sometimes we do things because we can, like if you've got, it's recorded on tape. So again, you can sync two tape machines together. So you can have 46 tracks if you include the sync tracks, but you can have like a big amount of room to play with, but still not as much as when you've got Pro Tools and you've got, just hundreds and hundreds of infinite possibilities of options. And you've got, I think also, I feel like, you'd have to look this up, but I think they re-recorded it. I think they'd like spent some time recording the album.
I think they had. I heard. Yeah.
Grohl, like very near the end, was like,
"This sounds shit."
I'm just gonna. I think he played the drums instead of the drummer. I think it was like, look, I'm just gonna play all of this.
Yeah.
And so then you've got like maybe a more relaxed. You've got maybe a more relaxed approach to something that you're now very familiar with.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, you've heard the finished record. And so you're now able to go, do you know what? We've already got that. So, and that's coming back to the red light fever thing. Like you can start relaxing when you know you've got something. Like, something I always say to people is it's going to be better or worse. You're going to sing, if you've already sung a take that you're really happy, let's sing another one. Like it's going to be better than the one you sang, or it's going to be worse. And so if it's better, we've won. And if it's worse, we delete it and no one ever hears it. Like, so now we're all free to do it. So there's maybe that aspect of it. And yeah, I think it's just everyone's trying in the kind of progression of music, people want things to be louder. And,
Mm.
like I was saying about, you hear a record and you go, oh, I wish my stuff sounded like that.
Yeah.
That's part of the, the creep of things getting
One-upmanship.
the one-upmanship or things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be better, because that's subjective, but it might be bigger or louder or more explosive or have
Yeah.
more impact or have more definition to things. And if you personally relate to that earlier sound more than the new
Yeah.
sound, then, because someone might, I think sometimes if you hear the new record first,
Yeah.
maybe a certain listener will go back to the old one and go, it's a bit basic, isn't it?
Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
it's a bit like,
if you listen to the debut album, it's like,
that's
well,
what I was
that's very basic.
that's what I was
Yeah.
literally going to say. But that album is I love that album so
But
much.
it has so much character to it.
Yeah. And the songs are great and the
Yeah.
performances are great. But yeah, if you put that and even like whatever the one after The Color and the Shape is, like if you put those two together, then it's like, wow, this is hugely different.
Yeah.
In terms of, you kind of, in your mind, you kind of thought that that's what the first record sounded like.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's why, like you put on an old record and you go, oh, wow, in my mind, I thought the sound of it was so much different, but I've actually just kind of remembered the songs and how much I like them.
Yeah.
Like that. I think it's an epic sounding album because I really like the songs, and
Yeah.
that's it. But I haven't really like necessarily remembered the sonics of the whole thing.
I think I'm gonna go back and listen to it again.
And why not?
Well, yeah, why not? Because it's a great fucking album. It's out. I'm gonna let you get on with whatever you've got going on today. It was really lovely to chat.
So good to chat to you. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you for coming on.
An absolute pleasure.
We will talk soon.
Yeah. Take care, mate.
Thank you.